cannot let the spirit, let the movement fade. I stand here before you as a proud, gay Aboriginal man, and I want you to listen to our people's voices. On Gadigal land here today, there stands another us. We are a confident, proud, all-inclusive community. I would like to also honour the people that have struggled and paved the way for our freedom we enjoy today. Here is my story of my artwork. It's called Keeping. It doesn't matter where you're from or who you are. You are here. We need to stay together. We need to keep in contact with one another. I'm welcoming you to Gadigal country. I just want to say a big thank you to Sydney WorldPride for the hard work they've done for this event. And I'd like to say a big thank you for watching me here today. Thank you.
In our code. And so there is that kind of entrenchment that you can see, and it's been done through legislative processes. So that means having parliaments enact laws that recognize sexual orientation, gender identity, and sex characteristics as protected.
Be easy. Progress rarely is. But together we can do something truly historic. Just take Australia forward for everyone. I will speak briefly about the issue of sovereignty. The Uluru Statement says this: our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander tribes were the first sovereign nations of the Australian continent and its adjacent islands, and possessed it under our own laws and customs. This our ancestors did, according to the reckoning of our culture from the creation, according to the common law from time immemorial, and according to science, more than 65,000 years. Now, some people have asked what constitutional recognition will mean for First Nations sovereignty, and the legal advice is clear. Constitutional recognition does not in any way undermine First Nations sovereignty. That's according to both the Constitutional Expert Group advising government and also the Attorney General. Voice is about recognising ancient sovereignty that was never, ever ceded, and ensuring that Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Australians can take our rightful place in our founding legal document finally. I am confident that a new generation of Australians are ready to put up their hands and move this nation forward. Friends, I want to conclude by saying this. For 65,000 years, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people have been speaking 363 languages, but no voice. No say in the matters that affect us. It is not right. But this year, Australians have the power to do something about it. How often do you get to put your shoulder against the wheel of history and give it a good push? You, your friends and your family and your community can do something truly historic. Friends, history is calling us, and I hope the answer will be yes. Yes to the Uluru Statement from the heart. Yes to an Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander voice to the Parliament, and yes, to a better future. Thank you.
Wait for a promotion, don't you know we're talking about a revolution? Sounds like a whisper. More people gonna rise up, take what's theirs. More people gonna rise up, take what's theirs. Don't you know you better run, 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 run. I say you run, 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 run. 'Cause finally the tables are starting to turn. Talking about a revolution. Yes, finally the tables are starting to turn. Talking about a revolution. Oh, no. Talking about a revolution. Oh, we're standing in the welfare lines, crying at the doorsteps of those armies of salvation, wasting time in the unemployment lines, sitting around waiting for a promotion. Don't you know?
And actually what really is the importation was the laws, the policies, the practices that attempted to police and extinguish our existence to fit into these very narrow stereotypes of what it means to be a civilized man or a civilized woman and what is considered a moral or righteous relationship. So I think, as we have these conversations, we really need to be attuned to the kind of differences culturally and historically, and also to recognize the way that politicians and other individuals try and thwart or sort of challenge our histories in a way to serve their sort of homophobic or transphobic agendas.
Stories, which is great until the brand becomes the reason why it's being amplified, not our stories that are being amplified. So when you get to the point where the rainbow logo, that's the whole piece, and it has obliterated us as a community. We are using the rainbow purely as a marketing tool and seeing us as a market segment. That's a problem, I reckon. And I say that as someone who's old enough to remember when the corporates discovered us as a market segment. And it was an incredibly exciting moment, right? Because we went from being the targets of hate to the targets of advertising. And that made us much harder to punch, okay? So I say that as someone who has lived through that, but I would say that just being an ally now by whacking up a rainbow logo and having that brand everywhere, like, if you want to be an ally, tell us and our stories. Tell about how we are valued and worthy of respect and dignity, not how your brand is a great reason why we should buy a product for something, right?
Well, I've certainly seen how that's built up within that comes from heteropatriarchy, that comes from neoliberal capitalism. So there's so much, that we're doing every day. And if the first thing that I'd like to kind of put into the room is we have to know our context and conditions, and we have to be political about that and be willing to speak it when people don't want to talk to us about those issues. So for instance, I'm in a region that, yes, has beautiful, unbelievable pride and articulation of indigeneity, but I'm also from a region that has double the global rates of violence against women and girls, and from our 2019 research, it's even higher for LGBTQ people who are part of our participative research. So we know the numbers are massively high for gender-based violence. And then the second one is, we know that we have 50% unmet contraceptive needs, amongst the highest in the world. And that's telling us that there's not that negotiation of our bodies with others. And something is going deadly wrong in the way that we're looking at issues of sexual and reproductive health.
Feeling recognized, happy and proud.
Thank you. Sev, what does pride mean to you?
Pride to me means being proud of being a part of the LGBTQIA+ community, a community that is so loving and accepting, regardless of ability, race, or gender.
Thank you. Jackie, what does pride mean to you?
Pride means being able to express myself freely and not having to hide who I am.
Thank you. So you've probably heard the saying, nothing about us without us, and I cannot express the importance of this. Disabled people can be queer, trans, gay, asexual, non-binary and more too. This is why if LGBT services, policies, community spaces, events are for us, we need to include, listen to and prioritise disabled people. Disabled people need to be at the forefront of decision making. If it's for us, it should be by us. We are the experts in our own lives and identities, and we know what works or doesn't work. We know what...
Experienced a lot of discrimination and mistreatment due to my disability and my sexuality. People often assume or jump to the conclusion that I am not capable of certain things, like speaking for myself. As you can see, I am nonverbal but can communicate amply, or that I am not capable of a relationship. Yet here I am, happily living with my wife of 1 year. So what I most passionately advocate for is education to prevent discrimination, as most often I have found that the discrimination I have experienced hasn't been of malicious intent, but rather due to a lack of understanding.
Thank you.
Freedom of speech, freedom of sexuality, and no one should feel like society is pressuring them to conform. Acceptance and accepting the people for who they are and not picking on them for being different. I feel I stand up for kindness and sincerity.
Thank you. Visibility is important because it serves